What's up, everybody? This is the Jack of All podcast, pod number 10, hunting journal number 1. You know, don't you just hate it when you're a deer? Do, 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 do. I'm a little deer just walking down my trail. Oh, shit! A North American mad archery! Oh, boy, a deer, a deer, a deer, a deer! Oh, crap! I missed! Oh! Over there, guys! Look at him! Don't you just hate it when that happens? Anyways, I'm not going to spend too much time on the intro today. This one's maybe a little vloggy or something. It's just me talking about the beginning of my 2017 Indiana whitetail deer archery season. So we'll just get right into that. Thank you guys for checking out the podcast. Here we go. This time around, I'm just going to talk about the beginning of my 2017 Indiana whitetail deer archery season. I'm closing in on the end of the second week of season here. Still haven't had any luck, and I'm just going to talk about the times that I got out and tell you what's happened and how I'm feeling about it, any strategies, things like that I'm coming up with. So let's just get into it. I'm going to have a video associated with this on YouTube as always, and the video is just going to be some time that I've spent up in the tree stand at my parents' farm. I can't record on public land, unfortunately, so all the video that I'm going to post while hunting is going to have to be on my parents' farm, and I'm going to just go ahead and kick that off. Let's see, right here. Awesome, that's rolling. And if something cool happens on there, I'll maybe like pause and we can listen to it. There's some cool sound stuff that happens. There's not too much that happened though during this first sit out on my parents' farm, but we'll get to that in time. Let's kind of start at the top, right? So the season started on October 1st. If you listen to my preseason podcast, you already know that and kind of have an idea of how I got up to here. But so day one, though, I'm really excited. It's October 2nd. I head out to the Salamone Reservoir, and I got a spot kind of picked out there. I've been, I just start the whole process with hunting by satellite image and trying to pick out a good spot. I mean, I get the reservoirs map for this is for public ground. You know, I don't really know these spots, and I haven't had the time to go hike all of this reservoir and find the good spots. And I should spend more time out there. You really ideally would spend a whole bunch of time out there working on picking out your spot and figuring out where the deer are and what's happening, but life's busy, and I've spent most of my time this year that I could get out doing that kind of stuff, working on improving the farm. So anyways, though, I hunt the crap out of these areas by satellite image and try and find good spots, and it's so amazing that's even a possibility these days. I mean, it seems crazy to me that, like, I'm a predator who's what the heck? Oh, weird. I'll fix that in the video. I'm a predator, though, who's hunting nowadays with technology and with satellites. I mean, I use a machine flying through space, flying through low Earth orbit to look at where I think deer are going to be on the ground. And the images are so good that, like, I've even found looking at my parents' farm, areas where I know there's trails and paths, and on the satellite image, you can see where there's these trails and paths worn in the ground. So you can literally track a deer by a satellite image. And, the images are going to depend on what date they were taken and all that kind of stuff for how relevant they are. But you can see where deer like to move and see where they would like to follow in terrain and might be going from a field to a bedding place or something. So anyways, though, day one, October 2nd, it is early in the morning. I get out of work. I leave early at 5 a.m. I drive out to the Salamone Reservoir. By the time I get done with all the hunter check-in, this is real simple. I've never done this public land stuff, so I'm going to explain a little bit of this too in case you have no idea what I'm talking about either. But is this thing frozen? No, it's good. You start by going and checking in. There's like you've maybe seen, if you live out in the country, the orange check-in boxes by the edges of these woods or state parks and things like that. You go there, you just open it up, you sign in, you grab a little it's like a permission ticket, a little license, I guess, and you keep that on you. Then you go to your spot and hunt. You park and you hike into wherever you want to be. So I get out there. By the time I'm getting into the field or starting to head in, it's like 6 o'clock. I think first shooting light was maybe 7:10ish or something like that. I don't remember at this point. It's been a week or so. But I get out there to where I think is a good spot that I kind of picked out by satellite. And it turns out to be pretty freaking nice, right? And on the way in, though, I had spooked up some deer. Like, I knew I heard deer get up and start running. And, see, I'm losing this already. I recorded something about this on day one, and I don't think I'll post it because I'm just going to roll this whole first 2 weeks into one thing. But I was more clear then, and maybe I'll start doing that where I record right after each hunting trip as much as I can. But I know it basically went like I get out there and real quick I get winded by a deer, and I think it's this buck that I end up seeing, but I get winded by something that's kind of off behind me and to my right a little bit. And then it's about, 35 minutes later, it's starting to be good light and everything at this point. I've been, sitting there for maybe 10, 15 minutes by the time I got winded, so it took him a minute to figure out, or the deer a minute to figure out that I was even there. Anyways, though, I see this pretty nice-looking either big 6 or maybe small 8-point buck crossing this field about 100 yards out from me. And that's about all I get out of that trip. That was about all of the excitement, just walking in and spooking up some deer on the way in. As I walked in, I went through these. They make these long runs of fields it was like the one I'm walking down is probably 1,000 yards long and 50 yards wide. So I'm just skirting down the side of that. And deer they'll bed up in the woods along sides of these fields, or in the middle of the night. They might just be out in the field and when you spook them up. But anyways, I know I spooked some up on the field line coming in, spooked that one guy up once I was sitting at the spot I had picked out for a few minutes, watched him kind of circle around me. And this is what I think after getting up and kind of stomping around the area, doing some scouting at the, coming into the middle of the, coming into afternoon at the end of my hunt, I find these kind of nice highways. They look like little deer trail highways, and it looked like a real nice loop that he ran, kind of like a bug out loop. I scared him, and I think he just made this circle and kind of ended up back in his little home woods there. So, this is cool. If you're watching the video, you can see now that there's starting to be a rainbow up in the sky. So that was the cool thing about the start of this video. It was early in the morning. I got out there, and it wasn't even supposed to be rainy or crummy this day until like about the time I woke up at 5 in the morning or so. So I get out there though really early because I'm hoping to have the moon was going to be real high in the sky in the morning and really bright out. And I was hoping to get out there really early and get to watch, shadows running around the field and see some play and action in the morning. Didn't happen. It got super cloudy and really dark, but I snuck in like a freaking ninja, got into my spot, and then it just was dark forever. It took so long for the sun to come up because storm clouds are just kind of coming in. Anyways, in the video you see now there's a rainbow up in the sky, and there wasn't a rainbow when I started. So it was really pretty and a really cool kind of kind of just scenery to look at least for having no action. That was at least beautiful. But there you go. That's cool. That's in the video if you're checking that out. All right, where was I? I was back on day one hunting, right? So I'm out at the Salamone. I kind of got this deer running what looks to me like a bug out loop along these trails. So now I've got some spots that I'm picking out along this loop too, where I can maybe nestle into the wood line and hopefully get the drop on him or another good deer later on in the season. So that's pretty awesome. Great start. Day two, I get out of there. Day 2, I come on in and I'm like, I'm going to try another spot on this loop and see if I get him. So I set up less far into this kind of peninsula I'm hunting, that it's kind of a peninsula of land that juts out into the reservoir. I set up a little less far into that, and I, kind of on this loop, and I just nestle down in next to the bean field because I can sit there and I can shoot across the beans without even getting up. I actually, after day 1, I realized, hey, I really need to try to shoot my bow while sitting down or kneeling because I've never done it. Just make sure that I can do that because, damn, it'd be really great to be able to just sit there, hardly move, draw the bow, and drop an arrow without having to stand up and be obnoxiously visible. So anyways, I do that. That goes great. If you're shooting archery, I recommend you try it just because it's easier than you might think. And, but you might be lacking confidence if you haven't tried it. So go do that. Anyways, I'm sitting along the side of this field And I can see, like I said, these fields will be like 1,000-yard long, but only like 50 yards wide. So I'm sitting on the edge and I'm looking all the way down, and I don't know, maybe 500, 600, 700 yards down the field, I see a pretty nice deer crossing. And I don't see any rack, but it's really far away, so I don't know. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is great. Like, it's nowhere near me, but awesome. So I got some action, something to watch. I can start kind of patterning these deer in this area more. And I'm realizing, too, because on my way in, this is, again, another morning hunt, and I snuck in. I got in even a little bit earlier, so I'm sneaking in when it's really freaking dark along this field line. I spooked up some deer on the way in, and at least one kind of started, I think he or she was following me through the field a little bit, because as I'm sneaking through, I hear maybe once or twice 50, 60 yards behind me. I'm guessing it's dark, and I'm judging by sound, right? But I just hear light blowing, like they blow because they wind you and they're smelling you and trying to figure out what the heck's going on and where you are. So I hear that just faintly. I think I do at least. So I think I'm kind of being followed and trailed by this deer. They're on to me. Point being, though, they're out in the middle of these fields. They're not, maybe they're all over the damn place. I don't know. But they're definitely getting spooked up out of these tree rows. So maybe the spot to be is just nestled in further up into the middle of this field. Anyways, I'm down towards an end, and I see way far away. Oh, cool. Hey, on the video, real quick pause again if you're watching the video. This is where on the morning out of my parents' farm, a coyote came in, and I'm kind of bummed with how this video turned out because he's really not that far out. At the point where he's coming onto the screen now, he's like 35 yards out now. He comes into like maybe 25 yards or so, and he or she was just the most beautiful coyote I've ever seen. Just really big, beautiful, mature coyote, big old fluffy tail, real nice red sheen to him. And I sat there going like, is this thing a fox? Or like, holy crap, this thing looks so nice. Like, it looks brushed. It's like somebody's dog, but it was a coyote. I'm sure of it, but it sure was a pretty one. And here's the crazy thing, right? I don't know. I think I'm a good person, but then I sit there in this tree stand and I'm watching this coyote, and he's so beautiful, and something about it, you just go like, God, I want to kill it. I want to kill it. I want to mount it. I want to have this trophy. And I don't, like, I'm just being honest here. I'm not, I have no reason to have that thought. It just comes to you. It's not like you're a malicious, evil person thinking, how can I do harm and bad to things? And there's coyotes going, bye-bye, coyote. But you still want this trophy. It's a beautiful thing. And I get in later on in the day, and I'm telling my mom about this coyote, and she's telling me about how this motorcycle shop up here has a coyote in their, I don't know, I haven't been up in there in a while, but they have a coyote sitting right inside the door. So you walk in, and it's all kind of crouched down, looking mean, I'm like, that would be so fucking badass. This is the most beautiful coyote I've ever seen. To have that kind of trophy and have it be so menacing and cool looking is such a badass, cool, naturey thing to bring into your home and have around. And in a sense, I don't know where the idea that, the way I'm describing it, sounds great to me. And then on the other hand, I'm kind of disgusted because why would I kill this thing? And I even can start justifying it because now I'm going, well, look, I found this trail. In the preseason podcast, I'm walking out, and I'm like, oh, this might be a nice trail right here. I don't know, kind of hard to tell because it looks a little low, and you never know if it's other animals running it. And he dipped right down this trail. So this little badass cut of trail into the thickets that I was talking about, it looks too low to be a deer. I'm pretty sure it's just his. So I've got a coyote who apparently his freaking hometown is right underneath my tree stand, and it's a beautiful coyote. And man, oh, this is cool too. I got geese flying over and stuff. This is what you go out there for. You don't, I sat out there not all day, but a morning and evening hunt. Didn't see a thing, but I got geese flying over, coyotes coming in, birds going crazy behind me and all around me. It's so nice to be out in the tree stand enjoying it. But anyways, back to the coyote. So I've got this guy. He's kind of terrorizing my deer spot maybe. So do you take him out? And I don't know what's right because I've listened to an interview that I think it was on Joe Rogan with this guy who was a coyote expert. I don't remember the names and stuff, but it was great. And this guy's talking about how when you kill coyotes, it just triggers them to breed more, and they breed and have more than one at a time. So you kill one, the female starts to breed, has a bunch more, and now you've got 4 young ones in place of 1 mature one. And I don't know. I think you end up, maybe you start killing them, you chase them out of the area. That, or like, this guy's a mature one there, so I take him out and end up with some young dung pups that my deer aren't scared of. I don't know. It's tough. Where does being a disgusting just trophy hunter, just killing to kill, and doing things because it's what's good for nature and you're part of nature and you're just participating in the cycle, and because of maybe it's natural, this desire to, like, last year I think I seen a bobcat, I think, because I can't really confirm it, I've got no video, it's kind of, what am I looking for here? The thing that first-hand accounts, people's accounts are known to be crap. So, but anyways, I think I seen a bobcat, and one of my first thoughts is, oh man, I wonder if I'd get a shot at it. Can I take it and mount it and have this amazing, proof that I really did get this close and this in touch with this animal? And I don't know. That's maybe gross. Why do I immediately jump to that? But all right. Anyways, enough of that. That's that's the dilemma for me of do you kill a coyote? I don't know. Red Hot Chili Peppers say true men don't kill coyotes, so I don't know. I don't know what's good, man. I'll be bummed if I don't see a deer under this stand this year, and I keep seeing a coyote, though. So, all right, where was I? Second day hunt, I think. Let's see if I can pick back up where I was on that. I'm out at the Salamone. So I got a deer way down in the field crossing. I think it's a doe, and I'm just enjoying it, and I'm thinking, oh, crap, wouldn't it be great if that deer came all the way down here to me? Like, what are the frickin' chances of it turning and coming down this field? And I'm not even joking. This thing just starts coming straight down the middle of this field, just walking straight at me, and it's got a long ways to go, but it does come like maybe 300 yards up or so, so maybe it's still a couple hundred yards out from me. I still can't really tell if it's a buck or a doe, but it looks like a big doe to me, and it ends up dipping into like my side of the tree line, and I can't see it. So now I'm wondering if I'm going to have this thing walk straight down the tree line up on me, and that would be a real interesting shot situation because I'd have a straight-on shot, and it wouldn't exist until we were both just basically staring at each other 10, 15 feet apart. But as I'm kind of waiting and seeing what happens with this, a buck kind of runs up from down in this valley. So maybe this is that deer. I don't know, and I just lost sight of it, and he moved. But a buck comes kind of charging in, and he's coming in hot, right? Kind of angling across into the middle of the field from the opposite side of the field. So I drop down to my knees before he's getting any kind of vision of me. I get my bow drawn because I'm expecting him to keep running in hot, and I'm going to have to stop him. I hear hunters go on TV and stuff, and the deer stop, and I've tried it, and it works. It's kind of crazy. But I'm expecting to have to stop him. So I get down, and I'm kneeling down. I got the bow drawn. He gets like 60, 70 yards out and just stops. So now I'm sitting there bow drawn, like, what's going to happen? And he's just kind of looking around, figuring out what he's going to do. And I think at some point he got suspicious of me. I don't think he ever saw me, but for a minute there, he did spend some time just staring at where I was, trying to figure it out. Eventually turns around, and I'm able to let the bow down from draw. Held it for like 2 minutes, and that's the beautiful thing about these new bows, man. My Hoyt is so amazing. I draw it, it lets off, and I can hold that like 13 pounds, 15, whatever it is, 13 to 15 pounds of pressure that I've got there for a good minute. And he kind of hangs out, does some circling around, looking around, and eventually decides there's just enough reason to not go the way he was going or towards me anymore, and he kind of just turns around and moseys out of the field towards the north. So that was it for day 2. I did some more scouting. I kind of found a little bit more of these trails that it looks like these deer are coming in on, or that they probably came in on, way up the field there. Came up with another good spot to tuck into the field line, and that was it. That was it for my first 2 days of hunting the Salamone Reservoir public land hunt. Really great start. I mean, this public land has been super impressive so far. So that was that. Let's see, the next time I get out, now we're fast forward another week. This is the next Monday. What would that be? The 9th, October 9th. I headed out to the Mississinawa Reservoir, kind of my, hometown where I grew up. Started, there was always hunting grounds right close to my house there, so I'd get to go play around in them and stuff. We'd ride our bikes out to them and goof off out there and play in the Mississinawa River and such. Anyways, figured I'd go check out some of those old stomping grounds. Ended up going to places that I didn't really know just based on the winds. And again, looking at satellite hunting, I know the areas right where I grew up were always super busy with hunters. So it kind of seemed like just a bad idea, and the winds weren't really that good anyways. So I go out to this spot, and I just have no luck. I hike out into some CRP-ish type stuff. I end up kind of like trying to get into this one spot that I want to be. I stumble across this massive like deer intersection looking area. There's all kinds of trails coming in. But by the time I really realize where I am, I'm kind of standing in the middle of it and feeling like a jackass. Like I'm probably just screwing this area up and gonna, mess up their patterns. And it doesn't even work out getting into where I want to go. I have to go back through this like awesome looking deer intersection area, and it's just trashing the place. I feel like a total idiot. This is why you really should get out there and do some scouting, during the middle of summer, not when it's already season. So I get tucked into this kind of wood line along this CRP with a bean field behind it. And I'm sitting there and I realize there's like a tree stand about 50 yards down from me. So this place is just hot. It's busy. There's hunters coming and going. It's just pressured. So I end up just sitting there getting chewed up by mosquitoes all night. I don't see a damn thing, like literally nothing, no action at all. So that was a bummer. Got out of there, just kind of felt bad about it. Did not find any good spots to hunt about it. And on my way out, I knew there was another person out there somewhere, but it's a big area because when I parked, there was a truck already there. So on my way out, though, at my truck, I end up meeting up with, there's 2 other people out there hunting. And this is a Monday night, and it's hot out, and there's no reason for people to even think there's going to be deer out at this time. So this just is kind of a bummer. This area seems pressured, and I think I'm just going to mark that one off the list, not go back anymore. But the Salamoni's looking good. So let's see, before I get back to I want to talk a little bit more about the Salamoni. But the next morning, I went out and I hunted my parents' farm. The winds were perfect to hunt the stand that I'm in, and I love this stand. It's so beautiful because if you can watch the video, you can see that I can see almost this entire back like 45-acre field. I can see the wood lines. So if anything's walking along any of it anywhere, I'm going to be able to pick it up. So I sit out there in the morning and it starts like the storm clouds are just rolling in. It wasn't even supposed to be stormy, but the winds are perfect, and the winds are out of the east, which rarely happens. So I'm hunting this stand because it's great. The wind's just going to blow over the field, and I'm not going to really wind anything or risk too much there. And I get to have a good observation sit out on the farm to see where things are. Nothing freaking happens in the morning except for this coyote coming in. And then it starts raining and getting miserable. So I end up like I'm really short on sleep at this point just from running around and work and hunting and going to visit. I had a really nice time visiting my buddy after hunting the Mississinawa. Went out and visited my friends Cheese Nip, and did I see Cheese Whiz? Are you actually using Cheese Whiz now? Mike and Chelsea, what's up? I love you guys. You guys are the shit. Thank you for having me out at your house. And hi Wilson, you big crazy pupper. Anyways, so I'm tired from being out all night, hanging with them, playing darts and shit, and just having a good old time. So I just kind of put my head down on the bar in front of me, tuck my bow up under me, and got my camera kind of tucked in and hidden because it's starting to rain on me and get wet, and I end up falling asleep for a few minutes. The rain starts letting up, though. I wake back up, and I'm like, all right, maybe, come on, let's get some action. Let's see something happen. Maybe the weather will clear out. That lasts for 20, 30 minutes, and then the rain starts picking up again. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think the deer like to move in this crap any more than I like to be in this crap, so I kind of cut out, everything's wet, so it's easy to get in and out quietly. No big deal. End up getting back out for an evening hunt, and oh man, in the morning it was great. There was super crazy birds all morning. I had like a whole freaking flock of robins, I think it was, that ended up like being all in the tree that I'm in, all just surrounding me and going crazy. And that's really cool to see. That's one cool thing in the mornings and evenings. You'll see flocks of birds kind of come and go into these wood areas, and they do it in a weird way to where you kind of like, you don't notice them, but there just starts to be more and more around you. And then all of a sudden, like maybe you'll have them all take off at once and a huge flock of birds leaves the tree that you're in. And it's like, what the hell? Where did all these guys come from? That's one of the best parts. But that was good in the morning. That was pretty good in the evening. There was some good action for that. But aside from that, nothing. Not a single deer. I seen a couple tracks coming in and out, but nothing to speak of other than the Yodi in the morning. So let's see. I did in the evening. Let's see how far has this video got. Hold on one second. Like 10 more minutes. So coming into the evening, there was there's a train maybe a mile or so down the road from this farm, and a train comes through, it starts blowing its horn and stuff, and some coyotes way off to, let's see, it would be the north of me, start howling, and I'll pause and hopefully be able to bring up the audio so you guys can hear that good. But they start howling after this train comes in, and once they get going, I end up excuse me, I end up having, I think it went, they started going, then off to the southeast of me, another batch of coyotes started going off, and then like right just next to me to the southeast of me, I'm not sure if it was coyotes or, oh, there they are, hang on. Yeah, there's a little bit of them. I don't think the train was coming in yet at this point. I don't know. I'll just stop again if I hear it again. But yeah, so there was, and if it wasn't, there was multiple times so that the coyotes would kind of start going up a little bit and making some noise. So anyways, though, once they got going good on kind of both north and south of me, right next to me, I don't know if it was my neighbor's dog or not my neighbor's, my parents' neighbor's dog or what it was, but it was like this kind of crazy howling that I don't know what to make of it. So I guess if you're a coyote expert or have any idea what this sound was, or maybe you're just like, dude, it's just a dog, let me know, because it's really, really kind of an odd, interesting one. But all right, let's see. That was it. That was kind of the whole hunt, because it just was quiet and not much happened. The weather was mediocre, kind of, I think it maybe got up to 70 that day, so not too warm. The previous day at the Mississinawa was warmer, like 75, 77, something like that. But still kind of warm for deer, and just really just a sit and wait, nothing to it, boring hunt. It's kind of funny watching the video with the GoPro, or not the GoPro, it's a Sony, what is it, a FDR X3000. It seems like I'm moving so much, but I don't know, I swear I'm just sitting there scanning around. My head's the only thing that's moving. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm moving so much the deer are seeing me, but I don't think so. I mean, heck, in the video with the coyote coming up, he comes in and pauses and looks at me for a second and can't really figure out what's going on. And you know what? I'm really thinking, with all the camo and stuff, like, I don't think your camo clothes does it as well for making you invisible, just based off what deer see. You're kind of just gray in the spectrum of clothing that you wear anyways. So I think maybe the patterns break you up, but I don't think that's as important as things like, I really think that just as like an evolutionary byproduct, I think that animals really see your eyes, and they really see maybe like the eye, mouth, facial features comes through, and I think that's what they pick up on. So I've been using lots of face paint and stuff this year to try and break that up. And this coyote he starts staring at me, and I kind of like narrowed my eyes as much as I could as he was starting to notice me, to try and not have eyes, as far as he could tell. And it looked like he just kind of looked at me and tried to figure out what it was, and kind of just let it go and went on his way. But anyways, yeah, I don't really think the deer are seeing me. I just don't think they're not. I think they're just not there yet, just not there at the right times. And it's discouraging because I hear so many people talk about like herds of deer coming in. I'm sitting in this tree stand just scanning around, hoping that like a freaking herd of deer is just going to walk in the field, and I'll just have my pick of them and get to take the best one. And people talk about that, and I never see it. I think the most deer I ever seen come into a field at once was 4, and it was really nothing special. Like, they were not like really nice deer. It seemed like just a little pack of youngsters, But man, wouldn't it be crazy though, just sitting there and then have, a deer come in, another deer. Next thing you know, you got 10, 15 deer feeding in the field in front of you. That would be so freaking nuts. People bitch about they have to wait out in the stand for it to get super dark and for the deer to clear off. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Come on. Yeah, you can't really hear the coyotes going off to the southwest. They're there, but yeah, that. What the heck is that? Is that a yodi or is that a pupper or what the heck? Is that what he's doing? I have no fucking clue. Maybe it's that yodi that I seen in the morning. He seen me and he's like out yelling, "There's an asshole up in the tree over here! Got a North American archer ape up over here!" Yep. Alright, I think that's probably about it. The rest of the night wrapped up kind of easy. Nothing happened, just got dark and called it in. Didn't see anything, so I didn't have to wait up in the tree stand for deer to clean out. I wish I had that problem. That's what I was getting at. I wish I would have 15, 20 deer coming to the field in front of me, and then I'd be like, oh, shit, I got to sit here and wait. But, man, I never see that many deer ever. So I'm kind of discouraged, though, by the second week. Maybe we're getting into the October lull. People talk about it gets to be a lull in the middle of October, but we'll see. I did on the way home. I figured I'd swing by the Salamone because it's right there on the way home. So I swing in just to kind of flashlight some fields, and I wanted to see, not looking for deer necessarily, but I wanted to see if these areas were corn or beans, or if there was any good opportunities for me to get out through them. So as I'm going and checking this out, in this one spot that I particularly thought might be good, I have two pretty nice deer run across in front of me, probably 2-year-olds, a pretty good-looking 6-pointer, and a pretty good-looking doe. I'd have happily taken this doe. I think I'd have let the buck go, but they run across the road right in front of me. And so I stop and I pull out the flashlight and I just kind of hit him with the flashlight because I'm wanting to test out too. I just listened to this podcast on, was it? I don't remember. I'm not going to say just because I don't remember. But I listened to this podcast talking about how deer see, and it was really informative. And apparently they don't really see white light very well. It just kind of blinds them. It kind of saturates their cones with photons, and they just can't see because of it. They don't really see it. They just kind of go blind because of it, which is why you get that like deer in the headlights effect where you hit them in the middle of the road with those white lights and they're just blind. They just can't see anything. I mean, it's the same as me and you. You fucking hit yourself with a flashlight in the middle of the night when you wake up, and you're going to be blind for a few seconds or a minute, Same thing happens for them. So I kind of hit them with it, and they just kind of stand there stupidly in the open just waiting. And, this is why it's illegal to hunt them that way. You're not allowed to hit a deer with a flashlight, blind their ass, and then just shoot them as you got a spotlight on them in the dark. So just kind of a rude, shitty way of doing it. I mean, the whole game is kind of taking advantage of their senses, I guess, or trying to play their senses and win the battle there. But I don't know. That seems a little extra shitty, I guess. But anyways, though, point being, they did just stand there. They didn't really seem to get that they were lit up right in a bright flashlight, so that's kind of cool. Anyways, though, I take off. I go up to where I would actually be parking to hunt this area. I kind of turn in there, and there's two more deer just standing right there in front of me. So I got the feeling, looking at the satellite images of this area, that these deer are just kind of bedded down in this brush area. There's a road, then there's all this big, thick, nasty, brushy stuff. Then there's like this pond area. Then it opens up into fields and woods and kind of goes up into the reservoir as woods. So I think all the hunters are probably going out into the woods and out into these fields, jacking things up, and the deer are coming up and just bedding right there at the entrance in these tall grasses and weeds and stuff, and just going to lay there while all the hunters are moving. So, hell, maybe the best thing to do is to just go into this tall brush and just kind of chill there. Maybe start getting some call game going or something. So, yeah, I think I'm going to check that spot out when I get winds, and, the winds to my favor. And there's a few more spots in the Salamone that I think are going to be good. I think the Salamone's maybe right in that golden distance from all the major cities that nobody's really going out there as much. Excuse me. But, yeah, I think that's gonna be the public land spot for the rest of the year. I'm pumped because I'm gonna head out there later today. I'm going to try a spot that I had my eye on from the other day, and the winds, last I checked, are to my favor for that. So hopefully I'll have some luck with that tonight. That would be great. It's too bad I won't get video because you have to have a permit to record on public land. That's a bummer. I'll do that next year though. We'll try to get more into promoting this public land stuff, and it seems awesome, and it's a great way for me to stay out of my parents' farm until until rut kicks up and things are maybe playing even more to my favor, and maybe let people screw up their property and chase deer onto my property by staying out of it. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a good way to spread out the hunting, I think, and maybe spread out the damage to your herd too. And I don't know if it's damage, but spread out you could take more if you don't take it all from one herd, I think. So that's the plan. I'm going to give that a shot. I don't know. Let's see. Oh man, I tried to, so I'm working on, what the heck is that? Computer is beeping at me. Whatever. Okay. So I want to get my kid into shooting bows too. So I've got this old McPherson bow that is probably, I don't remember how old I was when I last was shooting it, but I think I maybe got up to like teen years shooting it. So I've got it though. It's too heavy for him. He's 7 years old. So too heavy for him, but I cranked it down as much as I safely felt I could. Once I got there, I went an extra turn and a half just to make sure the limb wasn't going to unthread if I went that far, and then I cranked it back that turn and a half. That way I know there's at least a turn and a half of thread engagement. Should be safe. So I crank it down as much as I feel is safe with him, and I start to work with him on just drawing it. But you put an arrow in the bow before you draw it. That way if you dry fire it, it doesn't, tear the bow up or snap. You can wreck a bow by dry firing it. Just because there's not the dampening of the string having to push the arrow, so it hits, that all the forces are contained within the system of the bow, and that just is not the system's not meant to do that. At the end of it, it does damage. So you need to dampen it with the arrow. Point being, I've got an arrow in the bow. He does great trying to pull it the first day. He can't really do it, but with some help, he's getting it. The second day, first pull, I barely assist him at all. I'm kind of holding behind his hand. It's got a real crummy arrow rest on it, so I have to hold the arrow on with my finger, kind of pressing it into the limb of the bow, or into the riser of the bow, and I help him draw it, and he does it really good. I barely assist him at all. And then we've got, there's a target in front of us. We're standing out in the yard, and he just immediately goes, he's like, all right, I did it. I want to shoot it. Boom, and just fucking... he's using a little trigger type release, and he just reaches forward and launches it, and I'm still holding the freaking arrow, and I've got just enough time to go, no, Eddie, don't, and boom, the arrow launches right down my finger, kind of slams into it a pretty good bit, so I end up with a line down my hand and finger for the next day and a half, and kind of a bruised knuckle there at my index, and where my index finger runs into my palm, that main knuckle. So that was good time. So yeah, that's my educating the kid on how to shoot experience. I kind of what the fuck, Eddie, and toss the bow down. I'm like, dude, you cannot just do that. I thought we understood what was going on here. We're just trying to pull the bow. We haven't even gone over how to use the peep sight and everything. So anyways, though, he's all upset. He goes in the house crying and stuff, and he knows he screwed up, but I mean, the arrow bounced off my driveway, hit my shed, and bounced halfway back to us. I mean, it was kind of on one hand, maybe it was a good violent situation of him screwing up to go, oh shit, this is real. This is kind of a violent, dangerous thing if I screw this up, and I gotta not screw this up. So maybe a good learning experience. So we ended up a few minutes later, he's in the house. I'm kind of like, what the hell do I do now? That did not go well. So I throw the turkey target up in the truck and throw my bow in there, grab him. He gets his bow and stuff. Hold on 1 second. He gets his stuff, and we go over to the park and end up working with him. We talk about it, talk a little bit more in depth about what we're doing. We get into kind of the shooting process, more of the all right, you keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. You be sure of your target and what's behind it, things like that, and start talking about how to use the sights and things. So now he knows for sure. You're not firing the bow just willy-nilly. This isn't Boy Scout where you just get a bow with no sight and you point it at the target and launch it. That's not how this works. So he goes out there and we get some good practice in, and he does good, and I think by the end of it he felt happy and maybe a little more proud of his performance for the day. So that was good. Good stuff. I think it's great to teach the kids, and Yeah, go teach your kids, man. I'm running into more and more people who just like not even hunter type people and stuff, but they're like, yeah, I got my kids bows just because I want them to be more outdoorsy and stuff. And talking about, I thought it was funny. This guy's telling me about he got his kid a bear bow, but his kid's like maybe I think it was 12 years old, and this bear bow is probably overly small. Oh crap! My babysitter's here. Mom's here. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. But yeah, good thing. Get people involved. Go promote the sport. And that is it for the podcast. Thank you all, and get out there. Have fun.